When you say rape,
February
do
16th.
you mean rape or do you mean molest? Like, is he actually
No,
penetrating?
no, no, yes, I'm aware of
Oh
the
my
difference.
gosh.
I turn 18 in 16 days, 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 11, 10, 9, 8, 7.
This is Hayim Nissim Cohen, a 33-year-old man who shared his first YouTube video featuring his 9 adopted sons in January 2017. He showed videos of himself and his 9 adopted sons. This made him look like a good person, and his popularity and social media presence started increasing on TikTok and YouTube. But in February 2023, Cohen stopped posting online suddenly. At first, people thought he just decided to stop making videos, but the truth was far more disturbing.
If you don't talk about it, he could be doing that to your little brothers. They're 7 and 8 years old. You don't want, geez, like anything could happen. If he's doing that to other kids, he could bring you guys diseases, anything.
Hayim Cohen's background is not well documented. He was born into a Catholic family and his real name was Jeffrey Lujan Vegel. But later he converted to Judaism and changed his name. His mother, Karina Lujan, said, "He told me he was going to convert. I was surprised because he once wanted to be a priest. But then I thought it was beautiful." In 2010, Hayim officially changed his name, saying it was because of his new religion. By then, he was known for volunteering at charities. His mother said he moved to Dallas for an office job, but Hayim tells a different story. "I moved to Houston to study social work and help kids from troubled homes. In my early 20s, I volunteered with child services in West Texas. I saw how much foster parents were needed. Once, I got a call about 2 kids in care. I contacted Child Protective Services to help, sending them books and food. Later, a worker asked if I'd become a foster parent. That's how it all started. Hayim first helped 2 boys before adopting them. Eventually, he adopted 9 boys in total. Many of these children came from troubled backgrounds. A child services investigator described the mother of 2 boys Hayim adopted. The mother never had a stable home. She often left the children with others for long periods without contact. These 2 brothers had an especially hard start. Their father died when they were young. Their mother struggled with drugs and was often in jail. Family members cared for them at times, but their last situation led to Hayim taking them in. This pattern of adopting children from difficult circumstances raised Hayim's profile as a foster parent. However, it also highlights the vulnerability of the children in his care. After a thorough investigation of their home life, authorities decided to remove the boys from their family. They found several serious concerns. The children had endured physical abuse from their mother's partner. Their living conditions were unsanitary and unsafe. They were often without adequate food or proper care, missed school frequently, and were exposed to dangerous drugs. Given these grave issues, officials determined the children needed to be moved for their own protection. The other 9 boys Hayim took in likely came from similarly difficult or even worse situations. These children desperately needed a safe, nurturing environment. Hayim's story drew local attention. People were fascinated by how a young man in his 20s could provide homes for 9 children, with the possibility of more. To those observing their journey, they appeared to be a loving family. The boys seemed well-adjusted, and Hayim looked to be offering them a good life. Their shared moments appeared happy and content. But this was only what people saw from the outside. Inside the home, things were very different and much worse than anyone knew. The family's public image hid a troubling truth. On January 30th, 2023, one of the 9 boys broke the silence. He called a podcast to reveal what was really happening in their home. The podcast conversation included the following exchange.
I do know the sergeant personally, and I know the commander.
Okay.
Now, the problem here is it's essentially my word versus all of my brothers, and I don't want to give any information that could... I already know how NCIC and PCIC work. I know how a lot of the different things work, so I don't want to provide too much detailed information. I just want to know what should be done. I don't...
Well, it's not your word against your brothers, because your brothers are not the ones that's doing this to you, right? Is it?
No. But technically, when it comes to the CPS investigations, there has been 8 launched, and all of them were acquitted. So I'll make this slightly even worse. Since we were little, seeing that we came from CPS, we had very obvious cognitive issues, specifically 3 of my brothers, and they happen to all take psychotic medications. You can see where this is rolling. He has a doctor who was friends with him, and I'm speaking of my father now, and he essentially had us all placed on medication. So hold on, I was just checking to see if my father was coming home because I thought that there was a car. So essentially what I'm saying is anytime we make a CPS investigation, he'll either bribe us or he'll just directly scare us. And 2 of my brothers are 7 and 8, so there's no chance. We do not have cameras inside. I'm smart enough to take a burner phone, which is what this phone is operating through. It's just Wi-Fi. My dad doesn't even know I have it. But anyway, I'm about to be 18, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I have a driver's license, which is valid, and the thing about it is I'm not allowed to have it.
Let me
And I
ask you a
also have
question. Where are you at right now? Can you just leave and go somewhere? Like, if I gave you a safe place to go, will you be able to go there?
not entirely sure
Why?
because all of my brothers are here.
Baby, listen. Listen to me though. You need to get your brothers help too. You need to get out of there so you can help your brothers. I was raped too when I was young, and you know something. I wish that I was more brave to do something different, because then you have to worry about the fact that if you don't talk about it, he could be doing that to your little brothers. They're 7 and 8 years old. You don't want. Geez, like anything could happen. And if he's doing that to other kids, he could bring you guys diseases, anything.
I'm aware, but I'm just waiting in order. I'm essentially waiting until I'm 18 because I actually have a timer, like a quite literal timer.
When you say rape,
February
do
16th.
you mean rape or do you mean molest? Like, is he actually
No,
penetrating?
no. Yes, I'm aware of
Oh
the
my God.
difference. I turn 18 in 16 days, 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 11, 10, 9, 8,
This
7,
is really bothering me
6,
right now. I'm
5,
not even.
4, 3, 2, 1, 16 minutes, 1 hour, and 16 days.
The devil is a liar.
Okay, let me ask you this: have you been to the police
I go every single week.
and they don't do anything?
I haven't told them.
Or so why did you go to the police if you didn't tell them?
Well, I didn't go to the police. I go because I was put into the program by my father. It's just another addition as to he can say, my kids are perfectly okay, which has been done
No,
before.
no, 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 no. This is different. If you go to the police, they will do something.
If they
They
have
will.
information.
That you are the
You are the
information.
information, babes.
Wouldn't they need a warrant for anything?
No.
And they will keep you safe. They're not going to let you go back to that house, and they're going to pull every kid out of there, which needs to happen. And he needs to be in jail. You need.
So I give PC.
What? What?
Yes, they give you
What?
PC.
What?
Like, they're going to put you inside of a placement so that you can be safe. Yes, right, Rafi?
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Once they pull you out from where you live, you can't go back there. They're not gonna bring you back there.
And they won't bring no other child in here neither, especially with that with these allegations, until a full investigation is done. And it's not going to be
there
with.
was a there was 8 full investigations done.
Okay, but
Not once have they removed us.
listen.
After the podcast ended, the host, Twaya Paines, told the authorities what she had learned, but she didn't know the caller's name or where he lived. The police found out the call came from Hayim's house in Houston, Texas. When officers arrived, they arrested Hayim and questioned a 17-year-old boy. Initially hesitant, the teen opened up when told about the podcast call. He revealed he'd planned to wait until 18 to speak out, fearing no one would believe a child. He claimed there had been 8 previous abuse investigations by child services. According to the teen, these were dismissed because Hayim either bribed or intimidated the children. Hayim allegedly told the kids it would be his word against theirs, with insufficient evidence. It's important to note that Child Services hasn't confirmed or denied these previous investigations. When asked about the duration of the abuse, the boy told detectives it had started in August 2016, just 2 weeks after Hayim adopted him. He was only 11 years old at the time. The abuse began with Hayim asking him to come to his room at night to massage his feet. This eventually led to sexual abuse, which continued for some time. The boy explained that when he turned 14, the abuse escalated to rape. Hayim was arrested and charged for abusing the 17-year-old, but the case didn't end there. Some of the younger children also told detectives they had been abused.
Good morning, Your Honor. We had just visit with Mr. Cohen. I wanted to warn the court that Mr. Cohen is complaining of being ill this morning. Just wanted to let the court know. We're going to, of course, proceed, but I just wanted the court to know that he had mentioned that. All right? Thank you.
And Judge, I'd also like to invoke the rule, so if the applicant has any is going to testify in this hearing, and ask that they step out of the courtroom while other people testify.
Thank you.
In cause number 165064 in state of Texas versus Hayim Cohen. President is Mr. Cohen and his attorney. President is John Oswald, representing the state of Texas. And I apologize, sir.
Nicholas Toops.
Nicholas
Toops.
Phillips.
Toups.
And Mr. Paul Johnson, representing Mr. Cohen. Are both sides ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
You are, Your Honor.
And the state has informed that they want to invoke the rule. Is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
So the rule has been invoked, and obviously both parties know what the rule is. So if y'all have any witnesses that are going to testify in this hearing, they must exit the courtroom. And if you could please admonish them regarding the particulars of the rules, both parties. Okay. And with that said, let's proceed. The state of Texas has filed a motion to revoke the bond and deny bail pursuant to Article 1, Section 11B of the Texas Constitution, based on a new law violation, which the state is alleging committed the offense of injury to a child, filed in cause number 1808490 against a minor child identified by his initials YYC. In addition, the state alleges that the defendant misrepresented his health status to the court on numerous court settings, as well as in a hearing held on 1/27/2023. The state argues that these misrepresentations violated his obligations to appear in court, and therefore the court was unable to ensure the public safety and his appearing in court at a future setting. This is signed by the state of Texas, Ms. Oswald. Are both sides ready to proceed?
You are, Your Honor.
The state is ready, Your Honor.
State, please start your proceedings, Mrs. Evans.
Yes, Judge. Prior to the first witness, Your Honor, I'd like to offer in certified copies all labeled States Exhibit 1 through States Exhibit 13. They include the indictment. State Exhibit 1 is the indictment of the cause that we're moving forward on, which is 1650641. State Exhibit 2 is the bond conditions that were put in place on October 31st of 2019 by this court on cause number 1650641. And then State's Exhibit 3 is the original motion to revoke the defendant's bond, which you granted, Judge, on December, I believe, the 4th of 2020. State's Exhibit 4 through State's Exhibit 13 are the complaints in the new 10 cases that have been filed.
Your Honor, can you do it explicitly? Right. Your Honor, we're going to object to Exhibits 4 through 6, 8 through 12, as not relevant to this hearing. These offense dates are before the bond conditions were finalized and filed in this case. Object to State's Exhibit 2, because that bond was revoked, and therefore that's not relevant to this hearing. And yes, that's correct, Your Honor. Those bond conditions are not relevant to this hearing because they were revoked. The bond conditions that were filed on 5/4/2022 would be the ones that are relevant to this hearing.
Judge, the bond conditions in State's Exhibit 2 were the ones that were also put back in place after he was released from custody after your bond revocation, which is shown in State's Exhibit 3. And then all of the other cause numbers are just for the court's reference with regards to the cases being filed. All of the case in which we're proceeding on today was indicted when all of those offenses were charged in complaints. So that's why I'm offering all of these documents for the court's reference.
Defense, your objection is overruled. The exhibits 1 through 13 will be admitted over objection.
Judge, would you like me to present them to you this time? Judge, just to address the issue of the one bond conditions to the next, the reason why the one bond conditions that we have in place from October 31st of 2019, you did revoke those in November of 2019. He was then placed into custody for a series of days in December of 2019. The reason why we did not put those conditions in place from November of 2019 until May of 2022 is because he never came to court throughout that time. And you know that because you were here. And his defense counsel approached and he was never present. And the reason why he was never present from about February 1st of 2020 up until February the 11th of this year was because he was reportedly on hospice. We then had a hearing on January 27th of 2023. But prior to that hearing, his defense counsel somehow got him to sign those bond conditions, never him being present. So that's why he was not on bond conditions the entire time, because he was purportedly sick and couldn't be here. And on January 27th of 2023, we had another hearing with regards to the status of his health. Throughout that entire year, we requested through his defense counsel, because he was never present, for him to provide documentation of his diagnostic paperwork and results from a medical professional who stated that he was terminal from 2 diseases. He never provided that. He still has not provided that. And that was January 27th of 2023. When you and I were here in court on that hearing, and he appeared via Zoom, and I would like for the court to remember the fact that he appeared bedridden. He in fact coughed up, had his son sitting next to him, and acted as if he couldn't even sit up in a wheelchair during a court hearing, which was the first time he appeared for more than a year on this case. After that was when we got the information with regards to the podcast. At that point in time, CBS went in and we
I would not object to the state testifying about what happened. None of this is in evidence we have heard, none of this from a witness, and it's not in the court record that I've been able to see.
Well, I've been present all of the years, so I know the history of the case.
Well,
So,
the court will know that, but I would object to her.
I know that, and she's just reminding the court, but I do remember the history of the case, and it's just from her. Go ahead.
So we are here now on his second violation. Whatever bond conditions were put in place, he is very aware that he's not, and so is pretty much the entire community, they're not supposed to sexually abuse children or physically abuse them. And we have proof that on February the 8th, 2 days before he executed the search warrant, after he appeared in front of this court to not be able to even come to his feet or come to court, that he was up on his feet beating a child with a belt. And no matter what that officer stated, he helped sign those charges into place. And it's not whether his opinion or not, it's the court's opinion, whether or not we've reached the preponderance of the evidence in that case for injury to a child. And I would argue to you after you watch that video that that is not normal discipline of a child. It's not. Hitting a child about the chest, hands, and feet area as they cower on a couch and scream because they didn't perform on a cell phone or a TikTok video or whatever he was trying to have that child do is not typical discipline. The child screaming indicates pain. The child subsequently verified that pain in his own forensic interview. That is an injury to a child. That in and of itself revokes the bond, and it should then be denied bond on the case in which we are here. But I then would argue to you that that video shows so much more to this court about the safety of the community. While I agree that that child is not the child in cause number 1650641, that child is a child of our community, and the safety of the community, including that child, should be considered by this court. I would then argue the fact that he has misrepresented his health and his ability to stand on his feet and get to certain places and be here in court, and he's done that for more than a year, is shown very directly in that video. He has misrepresented to this court his ability to function, to stand, to be present, and that misrepresentation has kept him from being in court on this case and the ability to move forward on it for more than a year. That in and of itself is an issue of the safety of the community. And I would beg the court to see that as his inability to appear in court unless he is actually in custody. So the state would argue that we have met our burden, and we would request that you revoke his bond in cause number 1650641 for the second time and deny him a bond in that case. And then in all other cause numbers, we would either ask for no bond, but if the court's not willing to do that, request very high bonds in all the other cases.
After reviewing the evidence in this case, I know you all are newer to the case, but I do know the full history of the case, and this court has asked repeatedly for records regarding your client's health, and I received records. However, they were not clear, so I asked for testimony, and I have never been provided with a definitive answer whether your client is in hospice care or not. And based on what I received, I don't believe that there's ever been an actual treating physician that diagnosed him as terminally ill. And I had a hearing, and every doctor or every person that testified was basing it on some records that in the end came from the defendant's own history of him having a terminal illness, but yet I have not received any, after asking both sides for the records, which I've reviewed. I've had the state review them, the defense has had an opportunity to review them as well. I never received an indication that an actual physician has stated that he has a terminal illness. And I also do remember, and it was great theatrics that day, but yet on this video, he's up and down, able to discipline. I did not play with my bond conditions. And I do believe that the state has proved by preponderance the allegations in the injury to a child case. And I also believe that you have tried to misguide this court with respect to your illness. You will be held at zero bond. I'm not going to give you another bond until this, we're going to try this case as fast as I can. How long is it going to take?
Judge, we have expedited with going through our crimes database, all of the other evidence. So I'm thinking that's probably going to take a couple of months. I would say the beginning of next year would be the earliest.
The case took another disturbing turn in 2018. Hayim applied to host foreign exchange students, apparently lying on his background check to gain approval. Late that year, a 16-year-old Spanish student was placed with the Cohens. Within a month, Hayim reportedly began manipulating the boy, escalating to sexual abuse that lasted about 8 months. The student finally confided in his teachers, leading to his removal from the home. Hayim was arrested and charged with indecency with a child in early 2019. The student explained he delayed reporting to complete his exchange year, but ultimately felt compelled to speak out. This raises serious questions about why the children weren't removed from Hayim's care after his 2019 arrest. Abuse reportedly continued while he was out on bail. Currently, Hayim remains in custody awaiting further court proceedings. While a trial date is uncertain, the case is expected to conclude within a year. Hayim Cohen's case shows big problems with child protective services in the foster care system. Even though there were many investigations and Hayim had been arrested before, He was still allowed to take care of children and allegedly keep abusing them. This shows that the system meant to protect vulnerable young people might not be working as well as it should.